Hello and welcome to WOW's Operation Replays. This is your host Lord Holland, and today we are reviewing the Ignacio, the Tier 8 tech ship Pan-American cruisers. Now, these ships were basically all paper design, except for like the lower tier ones that were basically repurposed World War II vessels that were sold to South America from the Allies. Now, Ignacio. Now, I don't have a economic boost or anything, so I'm running expendables. So, nothing special on that. Armor-wise, that's where it gets kind of a little hairy. As you can see, she has 25mm bow, 25mm belt armor, and then 25 on the aft end. And then she does get 102 like lower belt, but you're looking at this 120 this 25mm. So let's take off some of this belt. Look at all that. That's all overmatchable by any battleship that has 16-inch guns, and that's literally every battleship you will face can overmatch you. Literally, it'll overmatch you. I believe even like Bismarcks and everything overmatch you too. So basically, you are squishy. So let's pull off this armor and show you the Citadel. That's the Citadel right here. It's clear above the waterline. Like, so you will be deleted easily. Okay, so don't expect to be tanking in this. And this ship does not value aggressive playstyle in ops. I've tried numerous times. It only gets you can only be aggressive in this thing if you're with some buddies or something. You might get lucky in randoms, but it's very hard to be aggressive in this thing. Survivability wise, with a fully upgraded 42,200 torpedo protection, 7%. Yeah, you're not going to be taking torps. Thankfully, she gets a lot of tools to deal with that. Gun wise, she gets 4 152 millimeter guns and 4 turrets, 2 in each turret. 7-second reload, 7 seconds for a 180. 119 max dispersion, 15-kilometer range, and 3,400 max damage with a velocity of 820. So the damage and the velocity is pretty pitiful. Very pitiful. That's just horrendous. The range is just sad. It's a hard ship to play. And I'll be honest, I like it when it works, but when it doesn't work, it's a very tedious ship to play. And after reading, a lot of reviews from, other players and hearing those from my bonky friends and bonks, the consensus isn't good for these cruisers. No, they're not good at all. They die way too fast. They're just not good enough. I don't know what's going on in testing, but I feel like these cruisers are just getting the ships are just getting nerfed so much due to being overperformed in testing that when we get them on the live server, we get shit basically. Now, torpedo wise, 8-kilometer range, 62 knots, 4 torps on each side, not much. Airstrike, 2 flights, 2,200 max damage, 2 bombs and a payload, so not a huge amount of airstrike ability against. So you're going to be you're going to be vulnerable against subs, let's be honest. A is not bad. I mean, you get 23 dual mount or Lycan machine guns, and then you get 3 dual mount 5-inch guns, basics. They're 76mm guns. And then you get basically the 152s that count. So the AA isn't great. It's not going to be saving you, let's be honest. and you're not going to be taking defensive AA over the consumables you can get. So continuous damage to 222, 1680, and for flak burst, and then a 6 kilometer range, which isn't decent. I mean, if you run into tier 6 and maybe some tier 8, you can shred their planes still, but it's going to be, they can still kill you. Let's be honest. Concealment 10.2 when a fully built. Okay. Let's get into the modules. So module wise, you want to go main armaments 1, aiming systems mod 1, steering gears, and then concealment. Now, for this one, I'm honestly considering putting engine room modification, engine room protection, because the armor is so pitiful that I don't see that feel like your engine would be knocked out, your rudder would be knocked out, and you need maneuverability in this ship. So I would honestly take engine room protection over damage control. If you had, like, you know, the amount of surveillance radar, like 20 of these laying around, surveillance radars, you know, you can put surveillance radar on there, but only if you have a surplus. Now, for consumables, fully built in, you get 5 super heals, 5 short range hydros, and then 5 radars. Now, like I said, you could take defensive AA, but you're sacrificing hydro. And I don't see any reason why you would want to give up hydro over defensive AA. Now, the whole gimmick of this thing is the funny button. Now, like the funny button on super ships, every shell hit basically increases it. So per shell hit, it goes up 3.7%. After 15 seconds, it drops. And the loss per activity is 15%. So let's say you're at, I don't know, 80% of your battery button being filled. And you miss at 15 seconds. It's going to drop really fast. It's going to drop. And you're going to have to start over. So it is very frustrating on the funny button. I would honestly love to see the funny button gimmick, as far as losing progress, increased. So it would take, so if you made a mistake, you'd have more time to correct it. The activation effect is 80% to consumable reload time and preparation. So minus 80%, action time 30 seconds. So you want to manage this funny button. If you're going to be going into a fight, say like, let's say you're going to go south on Raptor Rescue. You want to have the funny button ready, and you want to be pushing and be ready to use it if you're taking mass amount of. Once you pop that heal, you pop that funny button, so it gets everything going real quickly. Now, the AP is not short fuse AP. This is normal AP. So against DDs, you do nothing. You're gonna do minor damage on battleships. You're basically gonna hit cruisers broadside for citadel damage, and it's just kind of like, it's really all over the place, honestly, for the AP damage. It's why it's so, like, meh. It's a really meh kind of ship as far as build goes, or just how it performs. Now, build-wise, of course, and this will work for both randoms and operations. So this is 16 points right now. So you'd want to go incoming fire alert, consumable enhancements, adrenaline rush, concealment, superintendent, and then survivability expert. After that, I would honestly take, for my skills, last stand, priority target, and then for the last 3, I would probably take grease the gears and swift fish, just because. So I gain a little bit more torpedo protection, which would give me about 65 knots. That's honestly what I would do, because I want to be able to survive, and this feels like the only way to run this whole line. I can't think of any other way I'd want to run this line with this build. I think that this is what I would pick. I mean, questionable on the last last one, of course, but this build is what I would definitely want to run. I mean, I can't think of any other way I'd want to run it. But let's get into the replay version, and I'll show you some tips and tricks on how to play this ship. Hello, and welcome to WoW's Operation Replays. Today we have the Ignacio, a ship that I have, I said I was going to bring you. And I was struggling to get some good footage of this guy, because, I'll be honest, a lot of players that I spoke to in Bonks, Z, and Bonky, it's a general consensus that this ship is...
This is Base Commander. Good luck. Try not to lose a single ship and save our base structures from destruction.
Reconnaissance data suggests the principal attack would be launched in 10 minutes. If the outer radius of defense is broken,
it's a general consensus that while these ships are pretty weak without their funny buttons, the funny button is the only thing that keeps these guys relevant. And you'll see how much I depend on this funny button to keep me alive this match. And I'm just trying to get the broadsides, trying to get the citadels, trying to get that funny button active.
This is Base Commander.
Our beta was pretty good, but he was also a slight pain because he was taking a lot of my damage. Again, I sound like devil, don't I? It's my damage. Well, you're friends with him for 20-some years, you do pick up some tendencies. And you do see that the shell arcs, even at 10 kilometers, are very argy. I mean, it feels even worse than the American shells. They do have a little bit less floaty, but I feel like if I was using more Baltimore shells, I would actually be hitting you guys a lot better. And the reload is about a lot less than Baltimore, but it just feels slightly floaty, and I'm still getting good damage, almost 40,000, and climbing, so it's not bad. I just couldn't make my shells hit and get that citadel. Now, the last time I tried pulling a funny, it didn't go too well. I don't believe a funny can work in this ship. I don't believe it can. Because it's just so dependent. But these shells these AP shells do good damage. Again, that tongue twister just gets my tongue.
This is Base Commander. Support ship reach Battery 1. Restoring the battery.
I do like that the beta did go for the DD, and he did get like one torque, but as you know, it's easier to hit a cruiser than it is a DD. And I don't have any spotting, so I really wish the beta had dropped the fighter. I mean, if you know a cruiser's here, I don't know if he just wanted all the damage to himself, that's why he wasn't dropping a fighter for me, or what. But I could have really used a fighter. And I popped my radar, and I have incoming fire alert, so I know when shells are coming. And I see the Baron shells incoming. That's gonna hurt. There goes like half my health. That's why these Pan-American cruisers are so squishy. Because they die real quick. I'm fortunate that the Gade was here to at least help on this and take the torps. Because those torps would have been meant for me. But also I had the Amalfi here. And I'm still saving my funny button because the funny button gives me a 80% reduction on my, you know, consumables, including my super heal. So I'm saving it. I'm waiting to use it. And there I go, popping the heal. But I'm just waiting. And I pop my funny button. That way everything goes off cooldown real quick.
Problem solved, sir.
And I don't know why the beta, he knew I had torps. It is frustrating. I can understand why Devil does get so frustrated. It's very frustrating. Again, I take another, like, Citadel damage. But you literally see how dependent the ship is on the funny button. You need that funny button. Like, absolutely.
Enemy destroyer detected.
And you're like, that should have been a Citadel on the Amafi, but he scoots away with it. But if that had been me, I would have taken a Citadel. So it's like thinking, okay, a little biased, but okay. And I do pick up the Baron. And I do miss those shells, thankfully. Because that would have put me out of it. Now, if you don't get the funny button and you start, it drops real quickly. Because you'll just see how it starts blinking, and then you get 7 seconds, and then it just drops. Like, if you don't get it maxed out, it'll go instantly. Could be halfway, almost to 90-some%. And you don't get that last one, and all your progress just disappears. So you need to make your shells count to get that funny button active. And I'm just trying to get my funny button active, but I'm not getting any luck because I'm not hitting this DD, and I need to get my funny button active. I still got 3 heals though. That's the only downside, is that these shells are, well, they're useless against DDs. They are. You literally see how much damage I'm literally doing. I'm doing nothing to this DD. These ships do nothing to DDs, like nothing. So you could have like a DD go straight into you and bow in and rush you, and well, unless you have torps and can torp them, there's nothing you can do. Literally nothing you can do. Because you don't have short fuse AP. I feel like short fuse AP would do a lot to help this line. But then it would be like a minnow. But again, minnow's not as overpowered as it used to be. It's been pretty power crept. So I feel like short fuse AP would really help this line. Now I get real lucky and I squeeze by that torp. That more than likely would have killed me. And there's my funny button going off. On active now. So I have my funny button now.
Enemy destroyer sunk.
Like, and I'm playing like really aggressive. Like really aggressive. I should have just went for the DD. I don't know why. But I do switch back to him to get him out. And I decide, you know, okay, they've got it. There's no point in me shooting. And I know where the reinforcements are going to come in, and I know I need to get that damage. So, because I know the Fabeta is going to pretty much take a huge portion of it from me. So I got to get in close to make my shots count. But you see, our Fabeta is literally using nothing but torps. He hasn't used his rockets, and he hasn't used his skip bombers. So he's purely using torps. And we know from Hip Canuck that if you constantly use your torps, you're going to run out of them at some point. And he does run out of them.
Dash it all.
Reporting. Enemy cruisers entered the combat zone. They're chasing our aircraft carrier.
Now, the dispersion on these guns is actually pretty good. I mean, there's no doubt about it that the dispersion is really good. They do get a nice... And the AP doesn't do great, because you saw that was like 2 citadels. Not much. I really wish the AP did more damage, though, because 3,700 is pretty pitiful. Especially when you look at how Baltimore does more. I do pick up that kill, so good.
Enemy cruiser destroyed.
But I mean, you just see how it doesn't do much damage. And you need to literally hit multiple citadels or solid pins to even do anything. Unfortunately, Mr. Fabeta can't pick up that kill, so I do pick up, well, both those kills. So, yay! And I drop my torps. Because I look at, and I see that the Ibuki isn't looking at me. And see, our Fabeta is finally using his skip bombers now.
Ship is on fire. Problem solved, sir.
And he's literally just going for the big ships. And I'll be honest, a good Fabeta captain should be able to target any ship with their torps. And I do pick up that Ibuki, and there's my natural selection. Almost 200,000 damage. I drop torps. Poorly aimed torps, but still. Now, if you angle just right, you can bounce some shells, but it's like super, very, very, like squishy. And it, as you can see on the shell holes, there's like no place, like, I can easily die. Now, this range, my funny button's gonna go up real quick. Now, again, he's bringing his torps back in. This Fabeta was slightly a pain, because he's going for all these ships. Like, come on, man. Like, if the team hadn't been there to help him, like, he was so focused on my side, if they hadn't, the Irian and the Veneto hadn't helped him out, let's be honest, look at that. That's a full health DD. There is no way he would have killed it. No way. No way he would have killed it if the team hadn't been there to help him. Absolutely no way. It would have just ran right up on him and, well, killed him. And I pop my funny button automatically because, well, I just wanted to, and to have my heal. Because I have no health left, but I'm approaching 240,000 damage. And this is a good game. If you can crack a 200k to 150, between 150 to 200 in a Ignacio, that's what you should be aiming for. That's a good game in an Ignacio. Anything lower than that is pretty bad. Unless you're basically going after nothing but DDs, then you're okay. But then again, like you saw on the AP on this thing, it doesn't do nothing. But like a broadside like this, your funny button is going to go up really quickly. And this is what you want to kind of get. Ford picks up that, Musashi, and at this point it's just GG.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
But you can kind of see how the Fabeta only has torps and can get big damage with torps. But with everything else, you know, he kind of misses. Now, 267,000. That's pretty good in an Ignacio, and I was very pleased with that. And I didn't expect the end score. I really didn't. Hello and welcome to WOW's Operation Replays. As you caught us in our last episode, I had accidentally taken the Nuevo into battle and got a pretty good game in it. So this time we made sure to not screw up. Now I said, Ricky, you and me on the South CV, because normally I can take a South CV on my own, but I've had such bad luck with the Ignacio. But I wanted to also highlight something because this ship is the whole gimmick is that funny button. But I'm going to show you that you can perform well without using the funny button. But it depends solely on knowing the op. And we got a great op. Raptor Rescue. Easy peasy. Really good op. But I do want to try to use this first wave to get that funny button active. Because I want it up just in case. Now, as you saw last match in the Nuevo, we had a full team, but this time we have a Sherberg and an Akatsuki joining us. As you guys know, I do like to have a lot. I usually play by myself and have lots of randoms because it equals more damage for me. But it is nice to have some teammates to play with. Don't get me wrong. Especially when it's one of those frustrating ships like Nebraska and Ignacio. Those ships have just really, been bugging me. But you can see how the damage is just so, puny against this DD. That's the main weakness of the Pan Am cruisers. Is that they just don't do damage on the DDs. I get a nice quad Citadel and knock out that Aoba for 12,000. But as you can see, my funny button, it's almost charged. But I gotta make sure I keep pumping the damage up so I can get it. I know it's on one salvo. Once this next salvo hits, my funny button goes live. There's my funny button fully active now, and I decided to go south to the CV. But I'm still firing. I still have them range to shoot. So I'm giving them whatever support. Now, as you know, that I have honestly said, I would get you guys footage like almost a month ago, maybe two, but I've been struggling with this ship. I can't really play super aggressive with it, so getting the footage is a lot harder to get. So, and when you can't really play a ship aggressively, like I like to play my ships aggressive because that's just how I like to play. Unless I'm in randoms, and I play a little bit more conservatively. But in ops, since it's all scripted and it's usually always the same, you can play aggressive. You can do stupid stuff. And I like to do stupid stuff in ops. 85, like 90% of the time it pays off. Sometimes the other 10% I screw up, make a mistake. And it's like, okay. But I already know the cruisers are coming south. And I don't want to go all the way south just yet, because they drop torps through that channel. And when you're fighting all those when you're fighting the DD, the Aoba, and the CV, and dodging torps, it's not fun. So I decided to, hold out here for a bit. And Ricky is coming south to help me. So, between our firepower, we should have the CV. But you can just see the shell arcs. The shell arc makes the American Baltimore and like Seattle look reasonable. I mean, the shell arc is just a little hard, just a little too much, but that's just my opinion. But you see, they do have the improved pin angle, so I'm still getting citadels.
Working on an optimal route for you. Proceed due northwest.
I mean, we've got, what, 16 AP shells going out on these guys at a time. So between the two of us, we're just wrecking these cruisers.
Enemy aircraft carrier detected. Destroy her. It's crucial for the squadron.
Attention, Squadron Commander. According to reconnaissance data, one more enemy aircraft carrier.
Get a nice little salvo there, 9K.
Seek and destroy.
Ricky picks it up. I do get a triple one there, so that's nice. And the planes go between the two of us, so that's another thing I really wish they hadn't done, was that the planes would still attack you. I felt that was fun and challenging, because you had to manage the two of them. Now it's just, they don't really do anything. And I do pick up the Mogami, so the CV is basically, safe. They just have to kill the Aoba. Now, we both have our Hydros running, and our AA is just shredding the planes. The planes are just not going to be a threat.
This is Engineer. All stations. I have equipment for light repairs of ships. Stay close.
And I'm okay. I'm content with letting Ricky have the CV and everything. I'm just going to go for what I can.
Torpedoes to port. Torpedoes dead ahead.
Although I can't argue with the plane kills, though. I am glad I got all the plane kills.
Torpedoes dead
Oh, I
ahead.
did drop torps on the CV. But again, I was only really focused on the DD. And anything that would, kill me. I don't really know how that missed. I did pick up the DDs.
Enemy destroyer
And
foundered.
my plane kills. I can't argue with them. I mean, I'm up to 31. I mean, 32
Well
plane
done,
kills.
Commander.
I'm satisfied with that. He can have the cruiser and the CV. I'll take the plane kills. Plane kills still equal damage. And in that quantity, it's going to be a little bit of damage. Or a little bit of XP. But it's going to be a decent amount. Now, just by looking at this, since the CV's already, attacking the DDs, Calfee, thank you for spotting the DDs, and he's already spotted the cruisers. No battleships, so we already know. That tells you right there and then that it's an A1 evac. That the CV's going to go to A1. Then that opens another can of worms. Which one is it going to be? The cruisers are going to spawn at, well, B7 and 8, or the battleship's going to spawn at D1. You don't really know. It's really hard. Usually you can tell by the amount of time that CV is there. They'll show up really fast and real early if the CV, like I said in my positioning for spawn guides, if it reaches a certain point, it will show up. Now, again, it is still very confusing, and it takes a lot of time, but there are subtle patterns that emerge that allow you to dictate where the enemy's going to be. Although I was honestly hoping for the southern pain train. I don't usually hope for the pain train, but I'm in a very good spot. I actually want the southern pain train to spawn. And I'm sure Ricky would want it too, because broadside cruisers coming at us with AP, we have torps. I think it'd be kind of fun. Now, the repair ship does take a torp and does knock it down pretty well. I was kind of worried when I saw that. I was like, oh, don't let anything else take a torp. Fortunately, nothing else takes a torp. I'm like clicking, yeah, because I don't want all of our battleships to go to where the Alabama and everything is. I always want the CV to be somewhat protected until we know. And that's all you're going to hope for, is at least have one battleship go with it. And the Scharnhorst, our Glenn, does go with it in the Scharnhorst, because it does need protection. Because you never know until it reaches that point. Now, you can usually tell, and I'll let you know when you can usually tell.
This is Raptor. Air Wing is ready for duty.
Plus, it's also helpful that we have a CV. So we shouldn't have to worry about cruisers much if they spawn there. But, like, you see where the CV is, kind of is right now. A little bit further up ahead of that. If there's no cruiser spawning right there and then, like, as he's coming right into that little channel area and crossing those channels, odds are the cruisers aren't going to spawn there. And that's usually a good sign, because they will spawn and you'll know pretty quickly. Now, I've heard some things saying like that it depends on how many people are still alive, and I haven't been able to confirm that. I'd like to pay attention so I know if the spawns depend on if people are dying or not. Because if that is it, then I'd have to revise my spawn guide, and I would. But I'd like to kind of know if that was true or not. Now, since the CV does pass that point, like where he is right now, and the CV's basically protected, and we know the battleships are there. So basically, you don't have to worry about the CV. You just have to get ahead of the CV and protect it. But also, if you notice, I haven't even used my funny button at all. One, I haven't had a need, but also it also shows that this ship is still pretty good without the funny button. But it also depends a lot on the op. I mean, Raptor Rescue is probably one of the friendliest for the Ignacio. The other one would be probably Cherry Blossom, and then maybe Aegis, but it really depends. Now, they do kill the Akatsuki. That's unfortunate. I mean, his torps weren't the best, but he was trying to help. Ricky picks up the Nagato. And I mean, if I was going to set an average damage for the Ignacio, I would put it at 80,000. If you can crack 80,000 in an Ignacio, Anything above that's just great. Glenn just deletes the Yohagi, and now it's just the Congo and the Aoba. He gets a very beautiful citadel into that Nagatos, or to the Congo side. We're probably talking at least 18,000 right there. So, really good strike from him. Really good strike. And as you all know, in the guide, the reinforcements, the last reinforcements spawn at around 5:30. So you want to get into a position. So you can see I'm getting into that position to basically attack the last two reinforcements as best I can. And I'm looking at my torp angle so I know if I have the torp angle or not. Ricky is in the same position that he needs to be in to kill it. Now I lock my guns in place, so I don't have to worry about them as I'm basically aiming with my torps. So my guns will stay in the same position. I don't have to worry about turning them. I don't lose time. And we're down to at least minus 10 seconds. They're going to spawn in 10 seconds. Or less than 10 seconds. Right about now. I aim a little bit ahead. Because I know he's going to pick up speed. Disengage my auto lock and I start shooting. Boom. 4 torps, he's gone.
Enemy cruiser destroyed.
I do get a nice, like, 10k salvo. Ricky will drop torps on it, and he'll pick it up. So, I mean, 200,000. You saw how fast the damage literally went up.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Just by knowing where the ship spawned. Although, gotta give it to Ricky for getting natural selection, so kudos to him. Now, I do just pop the funny button just because. But you saw, I literally went that whole op without using a funny button. But still, a very respectable match. Ignacio just makes me think of the Vallejo. That's all it makes me think of. I just kind of wish they would have given it a rapid spotter plane too. Just a small amount of charges, maybe like 2 or 3. 3 max, and just give it 2 charges of rapid spotter plane. I think the line could really use that little buff. I think that would help it a lot. But I mean, it's basically a GG at this point. 202,000 damage. In an Ignacio, 20 citadels, 34 plane kills, 4 kills, 5 torps. Not bad. I mean, that's, like I said, around 100 to 80,000. If you can crack that on average in the Ignacio, that's pretty good. Anything above that with a good booster, still pretty good.
This is Raptor.